Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Lily Hajra. In this video, I with my partner will explain about basics of banking. In the basics of banking, there are four things that we will present. The first one is concept of banking. Banking can be defined as a business activity of accepting and safeguarding the money owned by other individuals and entities and then lending out this money in order to earn a profit. So that is the simple concept of banking. One thing you have to remember that banking in the market to earn a profit. So now let's move to the next slide.
Okay, the next material is how banks earn profit. So, there are savers in any economy. These savers include individuals, companies, and the governments itself. Then, they deposit their money into different banks, right? And banks are giving out this money to borrowers, right? And the borrowers also include the same set of people that are the savers. So, individuals, companies, and the government borrows from the banks. Now, banks have to pay this money back to the savers with some interest. Also, borrowers pay back to the banks with principal plus interest, right? But there is difference between the interest paid by the borrowers to the banks and the banks to the savers. So, this interest is always greater for borrowers as compared to savers. And the difference between these two interest rate banks make a profit, which is also known as spread. Okay guys, so we understand how banks make money.
Okay, now is function of banks. In the function of banks, there are two functions. The first one is primary function and the second one is secondary function. Primary function, the broad head are accepting deposits and granting loans and advance. In the accepting deposits, there are saving deposits, fixed deposits, current deposits, and recurring deposits. And in the granting loans and advance, there are cash credit, bank overdraft, loans, and the last is discounting bills. So these are various instruments or various functions that the banks are performing. Now let's see at the secondary function. In the secondary function, there is agency functions and utility functions. In the agency functions, there are funds transfer, check collection, periodic payment or collection, and portfolio management. And in the utility function, issue of drafts, letters of credit, and etc., locker facility, underwriting shares, dealing foreign exchange, project reports, and social welfare program. Okay, all these function you have to basically understand what they all about.
Okay, let's move to the next material. It's about types of accounts. There are some types of accounts that can be opened in any bank in India. The first one is savings bank account. The main objective is to promote savings, and then no restriction on the number and amount of deposit, and withdrawal are subject to certain restriction. Technically, any bank can limit the number of withdrawals that you can make in the saving bank's account. But in India, hardly any bank doesn't because of very high level of competition in the banking industry. And then, no loan facility is profit against a saving account. A special type of saving bank account is a no-frills account. So, in this account, you will not be charged anything by the bank for open such an account. But you will not be getting basic facilities like maybe net banking or credit card and debit card. So there are no frills attached in this particular type of saving bank account. However, as far as I know in Indonesia, there is an initial deposit and minimum balance that we need to deposit, and it varies depending on the provision of each banks. Okay, the next type is current account. There are 4 points in this current account. The first one is the most liquid account because there's no limit on the number of transactions. So you can calculate any amount for any numbers of times, and you can also withdraw this money multiple without any limitation. And then the second point is penalty fee if minimum balance is not maintained. There's a minimum account balance that you must keep in this special account. And then in general, the bank doesn't pay interest on checking account. However, in the current market scenario, with a very high level of competition, some banks have started to pay minimal interest or nominal interest on checking accounts. And the last point is banks charge fees for checking accounts. So, the most suitable checking accounts for the answer is entrepreneur. Why? Because entrepreneur want to deposit a lot of money as many times as possible every day, and also want to keep withdrawing money from the account. So that's why they prefer checking accounts in general. The third type is fixed deposit or account. The amount can only be deposited once. And then early withdrawal is allowed in some banks without penalty. However, certain other banks impose a penalty for early withdrawal from this account is very significant. And then customers can take advantage of loans up to 80 to 90% of the deposit value. So, how this works? Firstly, you deposit the money once into the account for a maturity period. Let's say 5 to 10 years. And after that, you can withdraw this amount, which will include your principal as well as interest also. The last type is recurring deposit account. So, in this particular account, you have to make a deposit after a certain time interval. Let's say you put 1,000 rupees every month or 4,000 rupees every quarter. So, the interest rate you earn on a recurring deposit account is the same as a fixed deposit account. And then fixed or variable installment. So, you can have fixed installment, which is 1,000 rupees per month. For example, 1 month you enter 1,000, and the next month you enter 2,000, and so on and so on. And then no withdrawals allowed. But some banks allow closing of account before the maturity period. These banks generally charge a penalty rate.
Okay, now is the banking system in Indonesia. Bank Indonesia as the central bank which aims to achieve and maintain stability in the value of the rupiah. The desired stability is the first one is the value of the rupiah against foreign currencies is exchange, and the second one is the value of the rupiah against goods and services, that is inflation.
Next, the elements of the banking system in Indonesia. The first one is Bank Indonesia. It's the central bank that aims to archive and maintain stability in the value of the rupiah. And then banking is a business entity that collects funds from the public in the form of savings and distributes it to the public. And the last one is Financial Service Authority. It's an institution that fosters and supervises financial institutions. Okay guys, I think that's enough from our group. Thanks for your attention. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dadah, bye bye.